Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I'm speaking with Nicholas Rodriguez-Fernandez, who has just shared his all-new EP titled Taking Mary to Jersey. I am super excited to talk to him about it. Nicholas, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. How are you
Thank you.
doing?
I'm doing amazing, man. This is awesome. I always love doing stuff like this, and
Yeah,
like
man.
it's
How's your
great.
day been? What'd you get up to?
Well, it's really been just like looking at like the song and like still like figuring out because this is part of an album that I'm gonna release.
Ah, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I
So
was, taking a look at your discography and there's like little bits and pieces here and there, and I figured this might be part of something bigger, but
yeah,
I'm definitely happy to focus on these three songs, or I guess sort of two songs.
yeah,
And what I want to start out is obviously I want to know what it's all about. You did do a great job at explaining that in the intro, which is always a much needed kind of like, hello, welcome to my music. But I'd
yeah.
obviously love to hear about it from you, so please.
So this show alone, like the live recording in the album itself, it's supposed to be just coming back to reality after like the weird year that we have.
Yes.
And one of the big things that I did right before this happened was see Springsteen on Broadway.
Oh man. That must have
And
been incredible.
it was because like I saw on Netflix, I'm like, oh my God, I'd love to see it. And then
Yeah,
I finally got to see it. I'm like,
that's
because
awesome.
that's when I perform, that's usually what I do. I just usually it's just me with a guitar and like talking, like telling stories between songs. So I loved it. And I was like, I really want to do this, especially because when I came back, we were supposed to go to a Green Day concert.
Oh man. Yeah.
And it was with the whole Delta thing. I was like, oh, I don't know. So like I feel like I had to do something that day. So I was like, I'll plan a show. And then I ended up going anyways because my girlfriend begged me.
There you go.
I was like, all right, but I still wanted to do the show because I'm like, I have like all these ideas for it now. I'm like, I think it'd be really cool if I recorded it and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And as a show, as the idea progressed, it kind of became the story of my life leading up to where it is now.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So I
Yeah.
want to take a look at sort of the behind the scenes. You've explained how it came together, but you also mentioned that this is part of something bigger. So do you plan on expanding on what you've already said so far, or?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've always done music like in one way because I've never had equipment.
Sure.
I never had that money.
It's a
So
crazy expensive. I don't
like,
blame you. Yeah.
so like for example, like the first song I ever released, I had to sneak into a college I don't even go to their music room,
It's
get my
dedication.
yeah, put it down, and I got a bunch of my songs like that. So this project alone was the first time I actually had equipment on me, and I had another musician with me, which is my lifelong best friend.
Okay.
So putting this story together was really like something big for me because after what I've decided is that after this, it's a whole new chapter of my life. Let's
Sure.
because we're getting out of college. At least me and my friends were getting out of college, and also we're getting out of this pandemic. So the whole project's called the next chapter.
I love that. That's nice.
So it's like telling all these like little stories, bits and pieces, and with taking Mary to Jersey specifically, those my mom has always, I don't know if I put this in the intro, I don't remember now, but I said a little bit before. My mom always says like, oh, you write sad songs, why don't you write a couple of happy songs? So Mary Jane was a song that's supposed to be, like a song like Yellow Submarine, like a fun song.
Yeah.
And like, oh, they also talk about like my love experience in a way. And the same goes for Jersey Girl, because I love Jersey, and Jersey is a big part of who I am, part of my story because of people that I'm influenced by, like Kevin Smith, My Chemical Romance, Springsteen, obviously,
Yeah.
and the list goes on. And so I also have family that lives there. So
Oh,
I'm one with Jersey. So I knew I had to include it in there. And it was the first time, especially in my whole discography, that I had my best friend in it.
it's
And
really cool.
he's always been like a big influence with me. And like just to have him there, and he was such a magical moment for me. And like I found the clips from the show the other day, and I was like looking at him like, oh my God, I'm looking at him go. I'm like, I'm a bigger fan of him than I.
Right.
I'm
Right.
like, wow, man, you're doing so good. So
Yeah.
it really
Now,
is. Oh, to go.
no, no, I was gonna say, do you feel like almost a relief writing these songs? I know they're obviously based of this last year, which is, but everyone has their own experience and they'll hold that for the rest of their lives. But you feel like a weight lifted almost by writing songs.
Honestly, yeah, it's so therapeutic. And the crazy thing, because like I before I started releasing the songs for this project, because I released another song called "Learn to Fly," which is a petty cover. Because
Okay.
yeah, yeah, I released before that. I released on his birthday. The song I did before that was a song called "Scars on My Hand," which is another song that's going to be on the album. And that song just because I deal with depression and I one day I just was not having the best day and I just wrote down these lyrics like in a matter of 2 minutes or like less. And I was sending it to my friends like, hey man, what do you think about this? Because like I just wanted to like get my feelings out there. He didn't respond. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get my guitar, I'm gonna get this random mic connected. And I did it and it became one of the best songs I've ever made.
That's cool,
It,
man.
it's so therapeutic and so like because you get to be honest. You get to tell like
Exactly.
you get to tell like your true story. You get to show who you really are without really saying who you really are.
Right. And I mean, I feel like I say this all the time, but ultimately you have to be happy with the end product. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to have all these crazy, stupid production gimmicks and like phasers and reverb and blah, 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 because listening to your music and listening more than to just what you've put out, like it is fairly stripped back. It's
Yeah.
basically you and a guitar and it's with a focus on the songwriting and it's your stories, which
Yeah.
any music listener should be able to respect because it's straightforward and right to the point.
Yeah, I usually tell people like I'm not a musician, I'm not a singer, I'm a writer. I tell these stories, I'm a
Yeah.
storyteller. So like that's the part I love it the most that I get to go on a stage like because that show was the first real show I've done in such a long time, and ever since after that I've been going to back to doing open mics and stuff like that, and having people come up to me like, "Hey man, this is great. Hey man, that was great." It's like it feels good again. Like
Yeah.
that feels so good, and like even to the point where like because the point I knew I wanted to do music for sure because I did a huge switch from movies to music was when I did my first original few songs, like 2 songs on a
Mhm.
stage, and I had people coming up to me, it's like, oh my god, like tears, like oh my god, it's so beautiful, this that, this is that, and like mind you, this is before I was playing with an out of tune guitar,
Yeah.
singing a key that doesn't even exist,
But it's
and
more than that. It's more
exactly,
than the tools you're working with.
it's
I
not,
think even, I mean, obviously the comparison between movies and music is tough, but I think ultimately people can relate to music a lot quicker than they can to a movie with some far out there plot. You know what I mean?
it music when people say music is like a universal language, it really is.
Yeah.
And like I didn't really understand what that meant until like a couple of years ago. I was with my best friend Austin. We were at Sam Ash practicing guitars, and we were in one of the practice rooms. The person next to us was so loud, and I was like, "What's going on there?" It got to a
Yeah.
point where I'm gonna go over and give them a piece of my mind. I go over and like, "Oh, you're a cute girl. Hi, how's it going?"
There you go.
Spoke a language I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
And how we started a conversation, we started playing Beatles songs to each other.
Yeah.
I played yesterday, she played Blackbird. I played this week, she
That's
played.
the equalizer right there. Everyone knows them.
Yeah, exactly. And like we had this weird conversation through music.
Right.
That was so powerful. That was so like that's what I love about it. Like you could do these songs and the amount of people that can understand it and connect to it is weird because every once in a while I'll look at my phone, like let me check the data, and it's like, oh, somebody from Israel is listening to one of my songs. So somebody from here is listening to one of my songs.
It's
Like,
wild.
yeah, it's like you can,
How? How?
yeah, like it is
Right?
the weirdest thing. It's like, how
Yeah,
do
it's the
you do this?
weirdest thing. I believe me, I get it. It's weird. I do want to know though. So obviously, music is not something that you've been doing forever, but I
Yeah.
do want to know what was there one thing that sort of like spurred you to take it on, or was it a series of little things that you were like, okay, I'm gonna try making music. I'm gonna see how that goes.
So it really was a journey because I before like when I was younger, I loved music. I loved listening to Queen, Beatles, and like that stuff.
Yeah.
But I kind of drove. I used to make like little playlists telling stories, like planning movies out in my head. Like, oh, this is part of this here. But I kind of drove away from that. Started listening to podcasts, really focused on film. And then just like many other musicians, I met a girl, and she was hard deep into music. So I was like, okay, well, I'll see what you're seeing, stuff like that. And it got to a point where like I wanted to pick up my guitar again and be like, I want to tell some stories too. And it didn't really kick into me until we broke up and movies wasn't really affecting me anymore.
Sure.
Like it wasn't really connecting with me anymore as it
Yeah.
used to. And I was listening to this podcast by Kevin Smith, and he was talking to My Chemical Brothers. Like My Chemical Romance, like two,
Hmm.
like Gerard and Mikey Way, and they're telling about how they could tell these stories that super emotional, super deep. And I used to think like, oh, music is about love songs and shaking your butt,
Sure, sure.
nothing deep. And like,
Right.
oh my, walk to the Black Parade is so like crazy.
Yeah, there's a reason they still have, I mean, there's a reason they're still selling out
Yeah,
stadiums with their like
exactly.
reunion tour and this and that. But also their music is extremely meaningful. Like,
Yeah,
my goodness.
like
So,
listening to Cancer and like
oh my God. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not even joking around. I still listen to that album at least once a couple weeks. Like, if it pops up on a playlist, I'm not skipping it. That's for damn sure.
there's a lot of times where I just go back and I listen to the whole album. If I'm
Yeah.
bored, I'll look at like the live concert where they did the whole album live.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It's so fun. But I'm hearing them tell these stories about it. I'm like, maybe I should try that. So I wrote an album. I never made it, but I wrote an album because
Okay.
I didn't know what went into music until I wrote one song, and then one song became two, and then two became three. I'm like, maybe I should try recording one. And I recorded one song and I put it out there and people liked it. I was like, and then that story that I told you, that I started playing original songs and people started really connecting to it. And that alone, that's all I ever wanted. I want to be a storyteller that connects with his audience, that connects with people, and that can make them feel a way and help them out. And when I got that reaction, it's like, I won. Okay, this is it. This is exactly what I'm doing.
Yep. No, man, I love that. And like I said, obviously your music so focuses on the songwriting aspect. But I do kind of want to take a look into the future and
Yeah.
no pressure because you have no idea what's going to happen. But do you ever plan on expanding your sound or experimenting with like more members in a band and getting like a full sound? Or do you want to keep it sort of stripped back like it is right now?
So it's actually funny you just say that because I actually do have planned for the future.
There we go. Okay.
So I have like this series, like this raw series, which is just me with a guitar, and like that's basically how music I've done it. I do want to keep doing that year round. It's like an annual thing for me.
Sure.
But now, like I said, with this new album coming out, I have my buddy, my best friend, being my drummer and stuff like that. I've really been getting into like bands again, like Foo Fighters and
Right.
Green Day again, and like all these bands again. I'm like, I want like 21 Pilots, like I want this again. And we started making up songs with more of a full sound. We bring in more instruments and like, oh wait, I hear this with a violin. So we started playing, we're starting to like put
It's really
things
cool.
together slowly but surely. And I'm still also working on my raw series because that I don't know, I feel like that's something that I want to keep doing just for me. Because that's at the end of the day, like those are just like little things for me.
Yeah, yeah. If you're gonna be the one putting the effort and the work in, like it should be to your standard.
Exactly. And so like, we started planning like, okay, we're gonna go to a studio. This is how we're gonna record. This is the people we're gonna get. I'm still looking for people to come play with me. And because I start getting all these ideas because I've always felt like, I'm not good enough. I don't know. I'm trying to take everything together, try and get better what I am. And after this show, after this, like making this live album on top of a rooftop that we snuck into because it had outlets.
That's rock and roll, man.
Exactly. It's like when we got there, we looked at it, just like, oh my God, we're just like the Beatles.
This is the story before I blow up. Exactly, that's it.
Exactly. And so like when that happened and we just went into it, it was a rush. I'm like, it's like a drug. It's like, I need this again.
Oh yeah. No, no, no. It 100% is,
At
and I think
100.
it's like that with listening to music too, as opposed to any other medium. A song can be a minute long and change your life, whereas like any other thing might take a little while to like resonate with you. But
Yeah.
there's just so much out there.
Like it's really crazy how music has really gone this far in my life because a big part of it also for me was, like around that time when I started listening to the podcast, like I was such in a down place because a lot of stuff in my life was just going downhill. I lost someone else close to me. I started getting some family issues and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And I was like, I felt like I didn't know who I am anymore. And like when I was really like in my deepest of like darkest, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I got my headphones and I started like pressing shuffle, 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 and nothing would come up until Still Breathing by Green Day came up. And
Nice.
that really changed my whole life. From there on, I was
Good.
like, because that just took everything away.
That's amazing. Seriously.
Yeah.
I want to know, because you've gone through this process of really like thinking about the songs to writing, recording, putting them together, and ultimately clicking the publish button. Is there something throughout the entire process that you look forward to the most when you're making music?
If I'm being honest, I'm always scared. I'm always looking forward to the recording process,
Yeah.
but every time I'm about to publish it, I'm always like,
Did I just waste my time?
yeah,
Is
it's like,
this...
should I though?
No,
Like,
man, it's because there's a lot of judgment on the other end waiting for you.
it is. There
It's
is, and
never
like,
been easier for people to listen to your music. It's so instant. Post it on your social media, someone clicks instantly, and they could hate it. They could love it, but they could also hate it.
yeah, and that's always, I don't know why, but that's always
Yeah,
been
man.
like my thing. Like even like with this, I was like, they're gonna hate it, they're gonna hate it, they're gonna hate it, because like that's just how I am. But like even after the show, I'll because if I hear, I could hear. I think this goes for everyone, but you could hear, oh my god, that was great, that was amazing. Oh, you did this, you did that.
Yeah.
I don't think that one was good. You're gonna listen to that one the most. Like that's gonna resonate with you.
Every time. Every
It's
single time.
hateful.
Yep.
But the part I always look forward to is just the making. Like I started making my little cousin. She's gonna turn 15. I'm like, oh my god! So I wrote a song for her.
That was
Like
cute.
writing the song and like making it. I'm like, oh, it feels good. And even when I record it, it gets to a point where like it's fun. I think the fun I look forward to is not even the publishing aspect, because that part always scares me. Like I said, like I
Sure.
remixed the song 10 times before I went back to the original. I'm like, oh, that's the one I should have gone with. And I released it and it went
Mhm.
great. It's the performing aspect, because you get to stand on a stage, tell that
Right.
story, and look at the group of people. It's like, this is me, this is who I am. I hope what I'm saying resonates with you and helps you on your journey in life. That's what I love. Like with
Man.
these two songs, like Taking Mary to Jersey, I'm like, these are dumb songs. These are like whatever songs. But now people like also text me like, oh my God, the meaning of Mary Jane was so meaningful. I'm like, was it?
People
Because
find their own meanings in anything.
it is. And it's like, it's so interesting when people tell me that. I'm like, I did, because I barely put any thought to that. It's just a fun song, but I'm glad that I resonated with that one person, because it's so
Yeah.
unique,
No, I'm
different.
actually really happy that you just brought that up because it brings me to my next thing. I want to know, not just on this release, but I suppose in the grand scheme of everything that you put out, is there a message that you're trying to put out as well? Like, as people listen to your music, do you want them to come away with something?
I think for every song, it's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, I have a song called Best Days where I'm literally telling the story of my life, just from birth to where I was when I released it, 2019. I just turned 20. So for me, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, geez, I'm 20. But it was telling that story. So, like, for that one, like, it's like, this is who I am. And I hope this helps you, like, remember the good moments in your life. But then I also have a song, like I said, Scars on My Hand, that it's supposed to, like, mean that the emotional, physical, or mental scars that one carries with you, it should not be looked at something that should hold you back, but something that propels you forward. Because if you can handle whatever those scars gave you, you can handle whatever scars are going to come next in life.
That is true.
Future Sends is talking about the optimism of not just the optimism, but like wanting to wait to get to the end point. It's like, I'm about to graduate college. I want to hold that back up a bit, but it's eventually going to have to do it. And it's like looking forward to that while also being like, well, I want to hold back, but I also have to like look forward to the future. So
Yeah.
every song's a little different, but I think like the main thing I want people to just take away is like, whatever you're going through, just, oh God, I don't even know how to explain this, because like
It's hard to
it,
explain. I
it,
believe me,
it,
man.
it's just trying to like just be stronger and be you. That's the main thing. Just be who you
Exactly.
are and accept your faults and accept your greatness and your faults, and try and move forward and always move forward. Try not to look back as much, which is weird. Made a lot of my songs like, wow, wasn't that such a great time we had? So like,
Seriously.
but
Yeah,
yeah, it's
man.
always, if anything, it's just to enjoy the moment you're in
I
life.
agree. I think that's a good thing to think about life as well.
Yeah.
Is there has to come a point where you got to let go, but ultimately we're all in this together in some capacity. So,
Yeah,
you
I think
know,
2020 definitely helped me with that. Like I realized like
yeah.
I started like losing like animosities and
Oh
feelings
yeah.
with a lot of people. That's why I wrote Future Sense, because
Yeah.
of like stuff like that. Cause I'm like, I don't care about that anymore.
Right.
I want to see like what the future is gonna bring and stuff like that. So like
Yeah.
it's cool.
Speaking of the future,
Yeah.
Hypothetically speaking, what does the next year of your life look like in a perfect world with no weird restraints?
In a perfect world with no weird restraints, I'd become Ed Sheeran.
Just
Like freeze fry,
change your name, dye your hair, all that.
become paler somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
become
tough living in
Ed
Miami. 'Cause-
Sheeran. I think it'd be do more studio time, and in a perfect world, it'd be to go out on tour
Sure.
and like get the band together and like
Right.
go on tour. So like that's my perfect world. Realistically, it'd be more work and more because a big thing I have to deal with at home, not in a bad way, but I'm also gonna want to go to the studio more.
Right.
Actually want to like get that band sound, like work on my craft even more so than I have in the past year. Because the past year was literally all about that. We're stuck in our homes, and I'm like, I don't have to worry about school. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about that. Let me just work on me. Let me work on my songwriting. Let me work on my singing. Let me work on my playing. Let me find my style.
Totally. I mean, and I know you know, but there's no rush. Like,
No,
obviously, we want these little successes to happen all in a row,
yeah.
but the things that we hear about on the internet of just like, and this person was an overnight success, like, it's all BS in my eyes. Like, it's these little baby steps in making yourself better.
Yeah, and it because that's the thing when you see like these biopics and you see these stories, you never see the hardships. You always see like, oh, the
Oh,
successes. They played Wembley, they did this, they won number one.
yep.
And like because I've gone to a place where like I'm happy with like my sound, I'm happy with my craft. Now I'm trying to learn the business side of
Right.
music. So like this is like one of the first times I actually do stuff like this because I'm learning that. I'm like, what playlists can you get on? What can you do here? What can you do there? Like there's a couple of YouTubers I'm watching that's kind of like talking about that. It's like, oh well, this guy just says he has a million streams. These are fake streams, and this is how you can tell and stuff like that. So it's like now I'm trying to get into that world.
Yeah,
I
it's all
find
there's a lot of crap out there. I will say that. No, there really is. There really is.
no, yeah,
And being on
exactly.
social media is a whole nother beast of just
I
how.
I to be honest, I don't like social. Like I really don't like it.
I get it.
If I wasn't doing music, I probably wouldn't be on it. But this is how I connect with people. This is how I communicate with people. I like that
Yeah.
aspect of it. But like when the whole Facebook shutdown happened, like the whole world freaked out because it was down for 6 hours.
I know. That was wild.
I started writing a song about that. Like, and now I'm going to do like with a big band because I'm like, this is too crazy to not talk about.
I know.
So like,
Not even just like Facebook and Instagram, but because they own WhatsApp and like
yeah,
a massive amount of people only communicate through that app, like internationally, like
yeah.
it was like legitimate, like an emergency. Like people in the same country couldn't contact each other. Like we rely too much on one company for, yeah, it's wild.
Honestly, and like it's stuff like that that just like baffles my brain. Like, because
How
I
did
look,
we get here?
yeah, like I look at social media, I'm
Yeah.
like, this horrible thing happened today. This horrible thing happened today. Oh, look, a cat. This horrible thing happened today. It's like not.
Oh my god, yes. It's I hate it. I hate it, but it's addicting.
It really is because I'm like, I hate this so much. Scrolls for TikTok for like
Ah, another
hours.
cat. Oh, cute dog. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like, but it's such a weird thing because like when I think back to when I was a kid, and this has only been recently, I think back to when I was a kid, like we never had to deal with this. And now thinking if I was a kid,
Oh,
it's like,
forget
oh
it.
my God, if I don't have like my TikTok views up, I'm gonna be bullied.
Yeah, these kids are screwed for the rest of their lives. No joke, they're geared towards that instant
Really.
gratification and their lives are over.
Yeah, like it is absolutely insane of how like before like you used to get like this dopamine like oh my God I want to be accepted by my peers now accepted by the world.
By the world, and that is a tall order. Yeah.
Honestly, my only true fear that I'm just like so scared because there are creative people on those apps that like make
Yeah, I'm not doubting that, but it's the
oh, not at
very
all.
obviously not talented people
Yeah,
who have these egos.
it's
And
it's
then they
abs-
get into the real world and no one's treating them like,
like with respect, but my only fear is that like is it like how much originality is there going to be left because now people are just like oh they did that dance, all right,
yeah, I mean dancing's one thing. I mean
let's
you could even equate it to music. It's like we've been
yeah,
making music for hundreds of years and somehow we keep evolving it into new genres and
yeah,
yeah, obviously music is so many love songs and you can only tell the same story so
I'll get
many
it.
times, but they keep doing it. They keep
But
putting
what
it out.
but what's great about that though is that I forgot. Oh my God, I wish I could remember the person who said this, but it was that no matter how many love songs there are, how many breakup songs there are, how many like these types of songs there are, it's your words. You're adding your own words to it. You're adding your own
Yeah.
ideas. You're adding your life to it, basically,
Yep.
in a way. And like, listen, Ed Sheeran can write as many wedding songs as he can. I'm still coming back to listen. Like, even this new album, I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, man,
like,
he's got the market cornered on that on some of that stuff. But
I saw like he's like, oh, I got a billion in 1 week, and I look at my thing, I'm like, oh, I got 50. Okay, well, yeah.
yeah, but it's the constant comparisons and it sucks.
That's the thing. I always try and like deassociate. I've been better at it now, but I always try and deassociate myself from like everybody else because I also realized this like with singing. I don't know why it hit me like more sooner than it should have.
Mhm.
But it's like because what I see with a lot of singers early on is like they try and sound like somebody else, and I know because I was one of these people.
Yeah, oh, that's yeah, that happens.
So I was like, oh, I'm gonna try and sound like Ed Sheeran. I'm gonna sound like Green Day. I'm gonna try and sound. It got to a point where like with this show, I really found my voice. It's like, oh, this is how I should sing. And even the last couple of songs, like, oh, that's me. That's actually me. Like I
Right.
started listening to Jersey Girl over and over again because I'm like, I can't believe that's me. So like it is insane because you do try and mimic people, try and copy people, but you get to a point of originality. And like I don't know, just like with TikTok, I guess like I'm an old man inside, but with TikTok, like I see people using the same sound and doing the same thing over and over and with no differences. I'm like,
It gets old quick, that's for sure.
yeah, like I can only hear Doja Cat say
Oh
so.
my goodness, yeah. It's too much. All right, Nicholas, I have one more question for you at this point.
Yeah.
Basically, what I want to know is for the person that is going to discover you from this, and for the person that's going to listen to your music for the first time, what is
Yeah.
an opening message that you'd like to say to them?
I hope you enjoy the stories I tell. I hope it connects with you, maybe helps you, or maybe makes you happier when you're having a low day. But at the end of the day, I hope that you're having a good day. I hope that everything's good with you and that you're healthy and that I hope that you continue being who you are because who you are is amazing. And I hope you continue to find ways to make yourself happy, whether it be listening to my music or going on TikTok for 5 hours. It makes you happy.
Beautiful closing message. Nicholas, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day and
Thank you for
coming
having me.
on for a fantastic conversation. For everyone else out there, I want to plug his EP again. It's called Taking Mary to Jersey. Check it out, listen, stream it, share it, but also check out the rest of his work. And it sounds like there's a lot more on the way. So
Yeah.
follow along. Uh, yeah, this has been great, man. I want to thank you so much again and have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your night. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It means the
You're
world.
very welcome. Take care, man.
Take care, bro.
Yeah. Bye bye.